So you've built something incredible, but you're still chasing down leads. You're still having to over-explain to non-technical people what AI can and can't do. And more importantly, you're losing enterprise deals to competitors with less tech and a better funnel. For the rest of this video, I will teach you everything you need to know to fix your B2B SaaS funnel in the age of AI. Why should you even bother to listen to me? My name is Morgan von Druitt. I've spent the past 10 years running marketing campaigns from bootstrap startups all the way to enterprise giants like Atlassian and Experian. I've navigated that jungle so you don't have to. And now I'm bringing all of those learnings to you. Today, we're breaking down all of the enterprise strategies that I've used to scale those startups and still use with my clients today at Dippity Digital. So that way you guys can go ahead and get a head start without having to worry about taking on excessive agency costs or bringing in additional headcount, which is actually the biggest pain point for startups after they receive their Series A or their seed funding. The first trigger moment that happens in a lot of founders' brains is, wow, cool, we have money now to go ahead and pay for additional resources, for additional headcount, to bring in that marketing manager to start running ads. And I can tell you firsthand, that is the first mistake most founders make. Fix your systems that you do have in place, especially if you've already gotten funding. The market is already telling you that you have something valuable, and your customers will believe that as well. What you're going to find is all the stuff that founders never get taught. That is how to build a repeatable, scalable B2B funnel, since, let's face it, most founders are your developers. You're technical oriented, in the weeds, writing the code base, and building the actual platform that you're going to sell. More often than not, they don't know how to sell. That's where they start to stagnate. 2, what actually converts AI buyers? It's much more than a 7-day, 14-day free trial, and then hope that somebody goes ahead and clicks the link, gives them your credit card information, and buys. We'll walk through that here. And why sales decks alone don't cut it anymore. You need comprehensive value adds early on in the funnel to show why this is an easy click. The best platforms that I've come on to have gotten my credit card information within 3 or 4 clicks where I know, wow, how did I not find this? Who can I share it with? And is this going to save me, let's even say 3 to 4 hours today to make this $20 a month worth it? Whether you're pre-Series A or you're chasing Fortune 500 pilots, this is a video that's going to help you scale efficiently, effectively, and without the headcount. So let's get to work. Chapter 1, you are no longer SaaS. You are selling AI, and that matters. All right, here's the first truth for AI buyers. They're not SaaS buyers. They're not buying a login screen and dashboards or a feature checklist anymore. You're selling a transformation. You're selling a vision. You're selling a way to fundamentally change how your client's organization operates from the ground up. This means that you can do more with less headcount, you can do more with less money, and you can scale to be an enterprise even if you have a team of less than 10. It is more than a new way of working. It's a literal shift in how your team will operate, how they think, how they plan, and how they gain new data to make better, more informed decisions moving forward. This isn't a click here and sync to Slack sort of pitch. This is a click here and fundamentally change how your organization is going to think moving forward. When you're making that kind of promise, there comes a lot of pressure with this. You're asking for much more than budget. You're asking for belief at this point, especially when most users are non-technical and most AI is not explainable. What this means is that sales cycles are longer, as you have to continue building trust, and there's more hoops that your decision makers have to jump through to get that final signature. This also means that there's more objections along the way. Most AI is not explainable. It is a badge that companies are slapping onto their product and saying, look, we have a couple of automations. We can call this AI now, but real decision makers at the executive level are looking for explainable systems that they can understand and they can know, oh, this is how they built this, even if they couldn't go build it themselves. They need to know that they're getting real value from the product and that the AI tag just isn't some sticker you slapped on. This also means that you're dealing with more stakeholders. more cross-functional stakeholders, from IT to development teams to your CXOs. Everybody's going to want to have their hand in the pie, especially when you're making a multiple six-figure deal into enterprise. Now, if you're selling to other startups, that's even more important since the majority of them are bootstrapped and they might not have $150,000 right now to go ahead and throw at this new innovative solution that you're saying is breaking ground in your industry. The bar for proof has absolutely never been higher. And case studies alone won't really solve it. What you need to do is build in public, have founder-led growth, and have so much information available for free online via your blogs, via videos, your knowledge base, that users can come in and see exactly what is happening on the front and back end of your product, exactly where it can deliver value, and unlock that value within the first 3 to 4 clicks, or else they're gone. If you're still building your sales funnel like it's 2020 SaaS, then you're already in trouble. This funnel has to do more. It has to educate, it has to build trust, it has to build a relationship with your users before you ask. It's all about generating value. So that way you can close with precision. Every touch point has an opportunity to earn its keep, and there can't be any wasted motion, especially with the flood of emails and nurtures and everything else that is bombarding your users these days. You need to make sure that every single time that you touch base with your user, you are delivering something that they can walk away from, an actionable insight that will either save them time that day or make them more money. Because AI doesn't sell itself, you have to remind them of what a future with your tool can look like. The bleak current reality that they're struggling with, which is how they found themselves on your page to begin with, and what a future partnered with you will look like. It's selling the promise. It's selling the vision. It's selling direction. All right, chapter 2. Start with your ICP, not your pitch. Everything starts with the customer that you're actually trying to service. That is your ideal customer profile. Other people, like Alex Mosey, calls it their avatar. You'll hear it called a number of different things in different circles. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. What matters most is, who am I trying to solve this problem for? Narrow in on that one person and be a sniper. And we'll talk about that again in the future. If you're sitting out here pitching your AI or your SaaS company or your startup to any company with data or any company that has insert generic problem, then you've already lost. The users that actually care about using your product are going to see it as a generic solution and bounce because they need a point solution. If you do just pitch to any customer that wants to give you money, that is not strategy. It is a spray and pray gamble that is not going to lead to sustainable growth. If marketing and sales is a war zone, then you need to be a sniper that understands who their target is, tracks them down, gets them in their sights, and then actually pulls the trigger on them. Not the common method where you have a great product and you just go ahead and run through the fields with a flamethrower with all kind of gasoline strapped to your back. It's a very easy way to have that blow up in your face. Here's how world-leading organizations define their ICP. And this is going to shock you, but they don't guess. It's all data-oriented. Build it on real-world data sets based off of real user experiences on their platform or on their website, not some sort of mythical founder intuition that isn't going to work post the startup stage. They start by analyzing who your current users are, who's sticking around, who's expanding contracts, who churns after the first 4 to 5 days of the trial and doesn't actually get into the weeds of what the product can do for them. Interview your best fit customers. Often and always, early on, your UGC, your user-generated content, your testimonials, your case studies are absolute gold for your organization because nobody else knows you exist and nobody else trusts you. So go to people that do trust you and are giving you money and are paying your bills and ask them for a 15-minute video, a 5-minute testimonial, an interview, get them onto a fireside chat or a webinar, host those webinars, set them up as dates so you can go ahead and collect emails and then start sending out email nurture streams to people. There's so much that you can do to garner attention with the few customers that you already do have that will open up a waterfall of more people like them. Map insights to pain points. If there's things that are consistently coming up in your support tickets, pro tip, your support tickets matter almost more than your product roadmap, if not more. Like, your product roadmap early on should not be something that is carved in stone and has to be adhered to for the next 3 years because some CTO that you no longer have anymore said this is what it needs to be for the market based on old research. If 20 out of every 100 customer support tickets are saying that, hey, this one feature is broken and it's completely messing with our workflows, those are 20 customers that are at risk of churning and will hemorrhage your finances, hurt you much more than the customers you'll gain by releasing a new flashy product. Fix what's broken, refine that, and then when you have time, go build new, innovative, big swing products and features and services. It's okay. Fix what's broken first. Use your support tickets as a way to avoid churn. Show your customers that you do have, that you actually care, and they're telling you what the market actually needs rather than your development team sitting in fantasy land building what they want to build or building what the founder envisions for the product. People are already telling you. A well-built ICP doesn't just sharpen your pitch, it steers the entire funnel. It tells your SDRs who to prioritize, it tells your marketing team what content to build, and it tells your product team what they're actually designing for and who they're actually designing for. Because without it, you're just spamming LinkedIn inboxes cold. You're praying to get demos with CTOs at the wrong company at the wrong time and with the wrong solution. While you might be gaining some kind of movement in getting your sales teams on calls or even landing a client, you're not getting the people that are actually going to either A, convert, or B, stick with you for renewal. This is a big thing that a lot of startups fall into the trap of, is they think that any customer is a good customer, but there are actual customers that are going to be a detractor to you because either you overpromised what you do have, you don't have what they actually need, and you don't actually plan on building what they actually need. So there's a lot of tension and frustration, and you end up sitting here and changing your product roadmap for that one whale. What that does will throw off your entire company's trajectory for months or years because you wanted to protect one customer who you really shouldn't have been serving to begin with. This happened in one of the last startups that I worked with. We were a frontline employee engagement company, and we were working with one of the biggest retailers in the country, and we just couldn't lose them. We were a $5 million a year house at that point. This client alone was bringing in something like 1.2 to 1.3 million of contracts for us. And, I witnessed as a product marketing manager, we just constantly changed our roadmap to service this one client over and over and over again. Our planned roadmap almost didn't matter because every single time that they had an issue, we would subvert everything that we were doing to fix their bug or their issue or build out a new platform, build out a new service suite for them. And what we ended up seeing was all of the customers that we actually did want to serve began leaving. And we had a much harder time getting more of the customers that we knew that we could actually build a solid relationship with. And eventually, that big whale left because they were tired of constantly having to go to their survey provider and say, hey, we need XYZ other big data features. We lost them anyway. And we lost all of that other business of people that would have stayed with us for years. So your ICP actually matters more than anything. Build for them. If you build with your ICP, you're focused, you're intentional, and you're aligned. And you're focusing your product roadmap on an ecosystem and a customer base that is actually going to scale, and not on a customer base that you're able to just take your money from now and then fizzle out. Chapter 3. Lead gen actually works, so pay attention to it. Who knew? All right, so let's talk about your top of the funnel, because that's where most AI startups either never take off or they stall out hard. Your lead gen strategy, it has to be clever, it has to be balanced, it has to be a perfect blend between your inbound and your outbound working together, not in silos. So that way you're not pinging the same customers multiple times with different message sets, with different ad sets, with different value props, and overloading them with too much information when they already had a through line to value or to signing. Let's break this down. For your inbound first, that is your pull. This is how you attract them. It is your magnet. It starts with high value thought leadership content built directly around your ICP's pain points. This is long form SEO content that ranks for the exact questions that your buyers are Googling at 11 p.m. before they crash for the night. It is answering questions in your content. It is looking at your competitors' search engine rankings and then going to rank for whatever the fuck they are ranking for. So you can be a thorn in everybody's side. It is making sure that your content is at the top of everybody's feed every single time that they log in to LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram, or every single time that they go ahead and search anything that is even vaguely related to your niche, you should be ranking for on Google. Then make sure that that content is informational, educational, and backlinks to other reputable sources to go ahead and build your domain authority. Webinars, white papers, and gated case studies are absolute gold. They aren't just freebies, they are trust deposits. And what that means is that the more when you ask somebody to go ahead and give you their email, that's a little bit of an ask. You can equate an email to $1. Say, hey, you give us something and we're going to give you way more in return. It is the lowest barrier of entry that you can get a micro yes for them to say, hey, okay, we trust this company with our data or with our email enough to give it. Fantastic. Your job at that point is to then absolutely blow their socks off. Again, we've talked earlier about having frequent webinars with your customers, your superstar customers, your evangelists, people that are actually giving you 5 stars on Glassdoor or Trustpilot or whatever else. The people that are constantly working with your support team, the people that have extended their contract multiple times, get them onto fireside chats and get them talking to each other. I found that even when I'm a moderator and I'm coming in on a laptop and I'm just sitting there in between 2 CXOs of other companies and asking them questions, it's then super easy for me to sit back and be like, okay, these 2 people are using the products in completely different ways and learning from each other in real time, and the audience is along for the ride. What you can also do is come in with pre-seeded questions so they know what you're going to be asking during the call, and open it up for a audience Q&A after the fact. Now, if you're a small company, you might not be having a lot of engagement at that point, right? You might only have had like 6 or 7 people show up to that webinar. That's okay. The people that are in the webinar can't see how many people are in it, but you can sort of play it up a little bit and be like, oh my God, yeah, we have all of these questions coming into chat. Here's like the top 5. And even if nobody's asking a question, you have 5 or 6 preceded ones that your guests are also aware of. And that can sort of spin the narrative or use it as an educational, like, oh yeah, so again, circling back to the frontline engagement company that I was working with, we did this all of the time. We had quarterly fireside chats. And, you would ask them, okay, so how do you, person A, incorporate these questionnaires to actually adjust the behaviors of your frontline leaders, not just the hourly workers, but the managers that are on salary. And then similarly, person B would chime in and be like, oh my God, I didn't know that you could actually look at the data or splice it up in this way. Or they could say, okay, we actually have our managers training directly tied to how their constituents or how their teammates feel about them and how they're reporting on them. That's directly tied into their yearly or quarterly reviews. That's important. Then you have a sharing and a mesh of ideas that are coming in that are happening organically that can teach you as a company on, oh, okay, we need to build more connective tissue between these 2 things because 2 other leaders are using them in different ways, or they're mixing and matching features and products and whatever in ways that we didn't even imagine. And those are starting to come up in those fireside chats. If you have all of your customers siloed as well, then you're never going to learn, or they're never going to learn from each other. your company should feel like, or your portfolio, your client list should feel like a community where all of these people can learn from one another, build on the product, and ask you or tell you how to build a better product as well. I think that the big thing that customers or companies fall into is they want all of their customers to like not know each other. And I think that that's real in smaller organizations, because it's like, oh, well, if we fail one, we don't want there to be negative press or negative word of mouth to impact us. And like, while that's true, negative word of mouth is far more detrimental than positive word of mouth is a boon. When you finally do have an ecosystem of mature, graduated clients that have been with you for 6 months or a year, and you know that they're not in the realm of talking shit at this point, it's very important to get them connected, because they will teach you ways to use your own product in ways that you just hadn't thought of or didn't have on the roadmap. What you need as well is a library of product demos that show, don't tell. I used to build a lot of feature release like hype reels or sizzle reels. These would be a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes tops of upbeat corporate music with some stock images or stock video and flashes of what this new groundbreaking feature could do. And oftentimes you'd find that, this could have been a 45-second explainer video, but the industry norm at the time was to, have the music intro and flash your logo and put some B-roll of people not even using the product, but like people in the ecosystem or like in the vertical or like in the industry, right? Like if we're selling into the supply chain, then we would show people at shipyards and in warehouses and all of that type of stuff, rather than showing what the fuck the product does. And it's like, do that instead. People don't want to waste all of this time and leave the product demo confused about how to even use it. Because oftentimes we'd find, oh, hey, like this was a really fun, engaging video to watch, but what does it do? And if that's what you created and that's what was approved and that's what people are watching, then you already failed. People need to be watching something that's concise. People don't want to be sitting there and watching hours of tutorials just to still be confused when they get in the product. For high value operators, they want to hop into the product, they want to experiment, they want to explore it, they want to hit a snag. And then when they hit a snag, they need easily accessible, concise information or a video or a knowledge base article, something that solves the problem immediately because we've gone through, tried, tested, and understand, oh yeah, we've seen this before. Actually, 65% of our users get snagged up at this exact point. We identified that. So here's an article walking through why you got tripped up and how to solve it and how to avoid this in the future. Also, did you know that there's these 5 other things that you can do with it? So you solve their problem, you teach them how to do it themselves, all within a minute or two, and then you show them ways to expand their knowledge. Odds are they're off to the races solving that. And then again, they're going to go through another sprint of exploration, experimentation, hitting a snag. And after that happens 3, 4, 5 times, they know that they can trust to go to your knowledge base because you guys are the product experts. There's nothing worse than when a customer gets snagged up and they have to go to YouTube or they have to go into some forum that's 3 years old and hope that somebody made a comment that maybe a moderator or maybe your support team finally got back to. Give them easy, free, accessible information that is not gatekept by you need to come meet with our support team, you need to meet with your account manager and book a 45-minute call that most of the time you're just going to sit there and be like, oh, how was your day? It's been a couple of weeks since we caught up. Let's walk through. Like, no, people don't have fucking time for that. People are too busy building. So give them all the information up front and gatekeep like community-based things. Like if you're giving them a comprehensive 30-page ebook or if it's a webinar or stuff like that, but things that are going to keep them working in the product should be free. You're not just building awareness, you're qualifying at scale. And you're doing it with a value-first approach that cares about the user's experience more than you care about collecting their info or getting a couple of extra dollars from them. Where inbound is your pull mechanism, your outbound is your precision engine. And this is where things like ABM or account-based marketing comes in, where you get high intent, high fit customers that are exactly aligned with your ICP. Now, with inbound, you might be getting a slew of people that are curious, that are dancing around your ICP, dead center in your ICP, or have nothing to do with what you're actually building to begin with. But with outbound, you can be tactical. You know exactly who you're reaching out to, and they should only be people that you perceive have the potential to be super users within the first couple of weeks. Cold LinkedIn and email outreach is still fine here, but make sure to give context. It's not just like, oh, hey, first name, I saw your company is crushing it, cool beans. That's an old way. We all read through it. You don't want to feel like it's a boilerplate. Take the actual time to spend 45 seconds looking at whoever you're reaching out to's LinkedIn. I found a lot of success for this where it's like, okay, if they don't have a company banner for some reason, I run a marketing agency at Dippity, but like one thing that's really helped me with my cold outreach is doing something for free. If they're a new startup and they don't have a banner on their LinkedIn and it's just a picture of their hometown or picture of mountains or bald eagle is a guy I saw the other day, or it's just blank, God forbid it's that gray and gray with a little swirl on it. Like, what are you doing? You're telling us nothing about yourself. What I'll do is I'll go lift their logo and make a short, it takes me in Photoshop all of a minute and a half to produce. And I'll just go ahead and give them a new banner with a quick value prop. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that took me, a minute and a half, maybe 5 minutes in all to put it together and type the message out. Now, all of a sudden, we have their blank LinkedIn banner with their logo, with their value prop. It's on brand. We took their brand and they feel like, okay, wow, cool. This person actually paid attention and cares about us and took a little bit of time from their day to go ahead and uplift us without actually having some kind of ask. Now, not every company is going to be able to do that. I can because I'm an agency, but what you can do is at least if they have a picture of a lake and some mountains and nature or whatever instead of their company's logo and value prop and a traditional business banner, make a comment on it. It's like, oh, wow, did you, grow up in Colorado? Like, do you ski? Do you hike often? You're an outdoors person? Like, I love that. Okay, cool. Pivot. Did you know? Blah, blah, blah. Like, get them talking about something that they actually care about. So that way they associate the dopamine or like they get the dopamine ping of thinking about something that they care about. And then immediately that carries into the conversation with you. And you're, able to ride that wave effectively since they're already in a good mood. You showed that you cared about them. You showed that you took the time to pay attention to them. And you can also, congratulate things that they've done in their company. If they just, raised a Series A or a Series B, or if they just made it out of Y Combinator or something like that, like celebrate their wins first before you try and figure out how you can win with them. And like, there should be a reason why you're reaching out to them. The biggest thing with me is like, I have a whole list of thousands of quote prospects, and the vast majority of them I don't reach out to because it's like, okay, yeah, you guys aren't really a fit. I look for people that are actively winning. And then I want to celebrate their wins because I want to be a part of something that is bigger than what I'm doing. It's very easy as a business owner myself to be like, oh yeah, I'm the man. I'm doing this stuff. Like we're rocking and rolling. I got this agency. We're cool. We got clients, but you got to be able to remove your ego and say other people are doing things bigger than this. I can learn from those people, and having them as a client and having them on board expands my network, and I'm able to build and deliver a better product because of that. And it's like when you approach the market with that sort of mentality, you're going to build a lot more like healthy relationships where, when I outreach cold, I don't really make an ask in the first 3 to 4 messages. I'm not saying, hey, this is Morgan from Dippity Digital. I noticed that you have a company. Yay. Therefore, you have money. Therefore, you should, give me some. That's just really shallow, and it's never going to work. People just read it. People don't want to have a tick on their company, like a parasite. And it's making sure that you also don't come off that way. What you're looking for is just real human connection real context, real relevance, something that matters to them that's relatively recent, or something that's deep-seated in their personality. Like I surf, I live on the water. Anytime that I can talk to somebody about surfing or just be in the ocean or make fun of how sharks make me panic or anything like that, it's just lighthearted, and helps you segue into like a more business orientated, because like the stress is down. You're not feeling like you're getting pitched to. You're not feeling like it's a hard sale and that the person on the other end, i.e. your SDRs, are only caring about, meeting quota. You can use AI here to tee up hundreds of conversations if you're using things like Zoom Info, Apollo, Clay. You don't necessarily have to spend hours in the weeds anymore sussing out exactly who to reach out to. You can use cold email and send hundreds of emails per day to warm up people's inboxes, and hey, some of them will respond. So what I would do is get that list of your dream 100 clients and go reach out to them exclusively on your own. Then have the automated AI list send messages to the other hundreds or thousands of prospects in your inbox to see if there's a bite. If you're only doing one of these things, you're not really building a funnel, you're just playing roulette. Inbound alone is a slow burn. Outbound burns out quickly. And if you build them together, then you have a flywheel where everything starts working together in seamless motion. In a market that's competitive, you need a system that generates demand on repeat. It's not just spiking in activity when your pipeline is looking a little bit dry. That's incredibly important. It needs to be a constant stream, even if you don't have the capacity to bring on any additional clients, like your team is waiting to expand or additional round of funding. That's a good problem when you have people on a wait list. But it should be like a faucet that you can just turn back on, very low lift, and there's already water available. There's already a pipeline. There's already stream of clients ready to enter your business because you never stopped that engine, even when you hit capacity. Number 4, nurturing moves the needle more than you would ever expect. Email is huge. Take advantage of it. This right here is exactly where a lot of founders just fall off a cliff. Lead nurturing is key. You got the demo booked, you had a great first call, and then nothing. That client seems to just float off into the abyss. You never hear from them again, but you can't really expect to if you never reached out to them again. That's incredibly important here. Because here's the deal. Most AI buyers don't convert after a cold email. And it's not even just AI buyers. It's most buyers don't convert after a single cold email. They're not going to. They get hundreds of them per day. And you need to find a way to differentiate yourself from this. They don't really care to circle back just because you sent them a PDF with your pricing sheet or one quick feature snippet based on the conversation that you had with them, if you did have a discovery call. They need time, they need trust, and they need to see that you're delivering value to them over and over again, even in a world where they're not yet giving you money. And that echoes a sentiment that we had earlier. So nurturing is not noise, it's strategy. So let's break down 4 key elements that actually move the needle and will help your business today. Email drip campaigns are not just generic sequences. They're thoughtful, strategically timed pieces of content that tell a story over a sequence. Think use cases, benchmarks, thought leadership, all tied to your ICP's particular vertical. When I was working at Atlassian, we had this awareness problem, and we were turning off our on-premise server support to all of our customers in, it was 13 months away, 13 or 14 months away. Now, an on-premise to cloud migration for this company typically took between 8 and 9 months. So there was a very little margin of error or window that our customers could actually become active, go through the process, and not risk having having a lack of coverage come that turnoff date. And when I came into the company, we had a 97% unawareness rate. Only 3% of our users understood and engaged with a piece of content that allowed them to prepare for this cloud migration. How we fixed this was email nurtures. So we broke down our entire customer base by the stages of awareness. Then we sent personalize, let's say personalized, so it's personalized by stage of awareness, sequences of emails to all of those users, walking them through. So this would be like our decision makers, the IT professionals that were actually going to be integrating the tech. The CXOs had a different nurture. So we segmented this maybe 16 different ways. We did it by all of the awareness stages. We did it by persona. And what this led to was the same content being delivered in 16 or 17 different voices and different angles of attack, depending on these buckets or these user personas. Like, where are they? Do they understand that their on-premise server support is going down? Do they care? Are they somebody that's even going to be able to make the decision or have an influence on the decision? If, we completely ignored, anybody that was junior on the account. We ignored interns. We ignored anybody that was effectively senior leadership and below. And with the seniors, we were mostly adding, hey, this is how it's going to affect your day to day. Whereas for the CXOs, we're talking to them about like, hey, this is how much money it's going to cost you if you don't do this. Pay attention. And with the people that would actually implement everything, like people in IT, it was, okay, this is how you do it. So it was a completely different, it was on the low end, why this matters and why this is going to be a huge pain in your ass if you don't raise an alarm to your leadership on the senior level side. The IT side was like, okay, you are aware of this more often than not. The IT people were aware of it, but like, you were aware of it. If you're not, you are now. Congratulations. Welcome to the game. And this is how you can actually go about moving the needle on it and starting your cloud migration, because you're the one that's going to have to do it anyway. And then with the executive leadership, it was like, hey, this is going to cost you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars if you don't button up and figure this out and make an executive decision. We found also that these people wanted to engage with vastly different pieces of content. Our CXOs wanted to read white papers, which were effectively research papers, breaking down like the why and the business impact of this. The IT folk, they wanted knowledge base articles. They wanted blogs. More knowledge base articles than blogs, but it was like a 70-30 mix of the two, leaning on knowledge base articles, because they wanted to actually have a tutorial on, okay, how do I do this? Because I have to. And then the senior leadership, they cared more about thought leadership. They cared more about the blogs. They cared more about our webinars. They want to just get an idea of why this is important in layman's terms. So it went from high order executive writing, right, where we used a very high grade level, down to technical writing, down to, hey, we're talking to you like you're a third grader. Cloud migration is good, dummy. Let's go on. Next thing, chatbots guide. They don't annoy. Almost every single, website has a chatbot on it now. A lot of times they're linked to an actual knowledge base, so they can be used like your customer success team or a customer support team. AI chat flows can answer objections, offer resources, qualify leads. It's on 24/7. So if you're a SaaS or an AI company, use it. It's effectively an employee that just never sleeps and has all of the information that your success team or your support team would be giving to your customers anyway, if you properly link it to your knowledge base. Provide proof whenever possible, not promises. You want to go get all of those 5-star reviews. You want to go ahead and touch base with all of your rockstar clients and get testimonials from them. It's one thing to say that we can do this for you. It's another thing to say that we have done this for these 5 other people, and you could be one of them. Behavioral triggers and follow-ups is huge. So someone viewed your pricing page twice this 1 week, you should probably reach out to them. If somebody went and signed up for a webinar or 2 and then didn't show up, hey, you've got their curiosity, but you don't have their commitment. Maybe go ahead and send them an email flow or a review or a link to watch that webinar on demand. They might have been busy. They might have forgotten. It could have been a ping that they got 5 minutes before the webinar, right before they were going into a meeting, and they're like, oh, crap, yeah, I really wanted to watch that, but my day-to-day is keeping me busy. So there's a trigger to then go send them an email and be like, hey, you signed up for this webinar. We love the interest. That's cool. Here it is. Watch it. And then like you can either ask us questions on our support team, or you can go into our blog and review. This is another thing that I learned at Atlassian is after every single webinar that we ran, we would go to like a post doc, a breakdown of how the conversation went. We would answer all the Q&As, any questions that weren't answered live on chat, because, for these types of webinars, we were getting hundreds of people that were joining. So we weren't able to answer everybody's actual question. Again, order of scale. This is an enterprise versus a startup. We would answer every single question, and it was a comprehensive document. And people felt like they were listened to, they were heard. We didn't tag anybody's name in it just for like privacy, reasons, but people would go, and those pieces of content would always do so well. So effectively a follow-up, and we can email everybody in that list that joined or signed up for the webinar. We can email them that blog, and at the very top of the blog, we would have the on-demand version. Let's get this thing straight, right? Like, nurturing in and of itself is not spam. It means that you're showing up when they're thinking about you with information that they actually need to continue growing with you or to make a purchasing decision. You're not selling them. You're providing value to them to have them make the decision to go with you. And I think that sort of autonomy really helps when they're eager to work with you, and when they're eager to, even if it costs money, give them the money, then you're not having to feel like you're pulling teeth to get them to say yes. They already know that it's a smart decision for them to say yes. What this means is that you're not chasing, you're orchestrating, you're leading, you're proving that you are the best in your industry, that you provide the most value to your clients, and it would be silly for them not to work with you as a result. When you do this right, your customers come to you ready to buy, and that's because they don't have to be convinced anymore. They already know you're the right decision. Chapter 5, closing deals with ROI, not features. When it comes time to actually pitch the deal and start working towards a close, here's a mantra. Don't pitch features, prove ROI. I'll make this incredibly clear. You're not selling code, integrations, or AI-powered anything. You're selling outcomes. You're selling tangible wins that any person can walk into the boardroom and justify that this was the correct purchasing decision. Here's a few ways that you can do this. Live demos, customized to their unique workflows. What this means is that you're not showing them what the product does. You're showing them exactly how it fits into their day-to-day life, saves them time, makes them more money, fits into their ops. It's not about making it flashy. It's about making it real. It's about showing them, okay, this is how you can see yourself using this product. Proof of concept pilots. They're not freebies. They're strategic deliverables. If you can scope out a 30 to 60 day POC that says something like, hey, this is our clear success criteria. We're going to reduce your manual ticket triage time by like 25% in that time. That's something that execs need because it delivers clarity and it says exactly what they're going to get from this, rather than, hey, we're going to hit these lofty, KPIs, or sometimes companies won't even have any KPI deliverable tied to their service. It's just, it is what it is. It is what you make it. Have fun. Use quantifiable numbers that make this feel a little bit more tangible. That means saying something like, hey, you can reduce costs by 37% by implementing our system, rather than saying, hey, this integrates with ChatGPT 4, which means that your content team can write a little bit faster. Nobody cares what powers the product because they're not the ones building it and they're not the ones fixing it when it's broken. What they care about is what it actually delivers and how it impacts their day-to-day life. This is one that I used to struggle with a lot and still do, at least in my own agency, is I'm a huge fan of transparent pricing. But when you have transparent pricing, that often means you're kind of pigeonholed into like, hey, this is what it is, and this is what anybody can fit into. But I think if you're a startup, that works in the agency space. So this works if you have like a monthly service, like it's a Canva or a Typeset or a Bolt, like a service type app. But if you're looking to be a startup selling into enterprise brands, always be testing your pricing. Pilot your pricing, test it based off usage based milestone contracts. Your job is to de-risk the decision without devaluing your product. So have the baseline of what minimum you can sell it for. But there's a lot more other variables that go into pricing. Like, what network does this client bring with you? Will they be able to make additional referrals? How much expansion opportunity? You would pilot this into a 10,000 head, organization, but just pilot it into one division of maybe 200 people. And if they love it, then your product can get, expanded or adopted across the rest of the organization. That's really important. That's way more money on the upside than, like, you can afford at that point to make your minimum or make a little bit above your minimum to get your foot in the door of this larger organization, kick ass with their smaller department, and then go make all of your money on that expansion. Running an AI company, it's really easy to fall into the trap of, using words to sound smarter or trying to sound deep or overpromising a vision that really is years away at this point. And what's most important is to keep your message simple. You're not chasing deals by trying to sound smart or feel like you need to have the same vernacular as CXOs. What you need to do is close the deal by making it obvious that this is how you're going to help them win, and nobody else in your industry or your niche or your vertical can do or solve this problem in the way that you do. When you stop pitching and start proving, your pipeline will turn to revenue. Chapter 6, scale equals automation. So here's the difficult truth. If your sales strategy still relies on you as a founder or your team manually pushing every single deal across the finish line, then you're not building a business, you're building towards burnout. It's going to hit you eventually. The next few steps is how you scale this machine without doubling your headcount, without compromising quality, and without dropping the ball on your buyer experience. Use CRMs like Salesforce or HubSpot. This is an absolute non-negotiable. If all of your data is living in some Excel spreadsheet that the majority of your team, A, doesn't have access to, and B, wouldn't be able to read if they found it, then you've already hit a ceiling. You need to have your system be automated, where you can track all of your conversations at every stage, every trigger, every customer, and treat this platform as your company's sort of central nervous system. Your AI lead scoring. So use platforms to service high intent prospects based on behavior, page visits, email engagements, demo videos. Not all leads are created equal, and AI knows exactly who you need right now. Again, not all customers are good customers. Just because they're going to give you money doesn't mean that they belong in your business. Automated outreach sequences. So this goes back to lead nurturing. So think LinkedIn and cold email, but done with structure and intent, where you're not just shotgunning out as many emails as you possibly can. You're actually targeting the people that you need and that you're trying to attract and that you're trying to build a relationship with. Set up multi-step cadences that adapt based on interaction. So if you see users that are, coming onto every single blog that you have, they're engaged, they're starting to recognize you as a thought leader. If you see users that are visiting your LinkedIn page once every, week or two, then they're probably sussing you out and they're judging you based on other vendors in your niche. It's good time to identify that and then outreach to them. We mentioned this earlier about conversational AI. Your chatbot is on 24/7. Use it. It is your most educated customer success rep. So anytime that somebody gets into a snag, then they can go ahead and get information from your knowledge base via your chatbot. Or if they want to go ahead and schedule an appointment, a booking call, discovery call, whatever, then they can do that through your chatbot as well, which should be integrated or tied to your Calendly. Again, saving your team significant time. And the big thing here is AI is not meant to replace any of your employees. It's meant to give them more time to focus on the high value strategic initiatives that are actually going to move your business across the finish line. And instead of having them work through all of this, I really need to go reach out to these 20 people today, or I need to catch up with all of these support tickets. They don't want to be doing that. they want to be focusing more on the reason why they love this job to begin with. Manual sales is week 1 stuff. That's an MVP grind. If you're still doing that by week 20, then you've got a real bottleneck problem. Your team is focusing on the wrong things, and they could be moving actual innovation, building better products, and getting more customers into your pipeline. You need systems that are built to scale, as automation protects your bandwidth, especially for early stage startups. Your team's bandwidth is your most precious resource. And for early stage startups, more often than not, your team is wearing 27 different hats, and they only really give a shit about 3 of them. They want to be able to come into the company and do the thing that they love because they're taking a gamble on themselves working with a company that doesn't really have a lot of money, that they could have gone to work for any of the FANG companies or, a company that's established. And instead, they're going and working for your startup in a warehouse or in a loft, or, if you have some money, in a new co-working space or anything like that, but they're not making the money or not maintaining the financial security that they want. They're mostly doing this for the passion. They believe in the product, they believe in the leadership, and they want to focus on the areas that they are most passionate about from a professional standpoint. Allow them to do more of that rather than having them throw on 27 different hats that they're not really confident servicing and are keeping them away from the work that's going to keep them at your organization. Finally, chapter 7. These are the metrics that matter most. If you want to know if your sales funnel actually works, you need to track these numbers religiously. Not occasionally, not when you feel like it, not when revenue dips. I'm talking about every single month. And that's because data is how you scale with clarity, not chaos. So here are 4 core metrics that you need to be following regularly. 1, your lead to customer conversion rate. This is the heartbeat of your funnel. You need to understand exactly how many leads are in your pipeline, then how many of them actually convert into paying customers. You need to figure out where they're dropping off, at what stage, why, and what the key decision points for the people that do convert were for them to actually sign over to you. If you're having a low conversion rate here, then you don't really have a pipeline problem, you have a conversion problem. If you have high leads and a low conversion, then there's something broken in your funnel that you need to fix. Whether you need more touch points, whether you need more personalization, whether you need more knowledge-based articles to teach these users on, hey, this is the value that we're trying to give you. You'd be silly to leave this deal on the table. Sales cycle length. How long does it take for your lead to go from first touch to close? If that number is dragging, you either have a messaging mishap, stakeholder delay, or friction in your process. Shortening this adds velocity to your growth. If you can go ahead and take a 6-month deal cycle and shrink that down to even 4 months, then you're going to hit so much more velocity and get so much more money or realized revenue from your pipeline. The next 2 sort of go hand in hand together, and that's your customer acquisition cost and your lifetime value. Understanding how much it actually costs you to get a customer through that sales cycle. So again, from first touch to actual close, and then comparing that to how much that company is actually going to earn you over their lifetime. Now, the lifetime for a customer will really depend. Sometimes they'll be with you for months, sometimes they'll be with you for years. But this is how much you're going to make throughout the entirety of your relationship with them. And it's important that these 2 have a hand-in-hand relationship, since as soon as the LTV, the lifetime customer value, exceeds your CAC, then you're able to start dumping in disordinate amount of money, because if hypothetically it costs you $500 to acquire a customer, and you're able to receive, let's say, $2,500 from them over the course of their lifetime with you, then every single time that you make that deal, you are gaining money. Even if it's just a smaller, order where, you're spending $100, but you're making $180, that's still an $80 profit every single time you make that trade-off. So do it often. These metrics are your scoreboard. If you ignore it, you're flying blind. And know where the drop-offs are happening, why it's happening, fix one metric at a time, run every test that you can, and then measure again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Do this monthly, quarterly, whatever makes sense to you. But make sure to pay attention to these metrics and then get them in the green. This is how you turn a leaky funnel into a scalable growth engine. You're not guessing anymore. Who would have thought, right? And you're tracking what matters and you're improving on purpose. not stumbling into a random success. So let's zoom out to how this looks in the actual wild. And I got a couple of case studies here for you. So Grammarly, the writing assistant that I'm sure we've all heard of, was able to increase their conversion rates, not by introducing new premium features, not by slashing their pricing, but by creating personalized email campaigns that talked to their users about the features that they were actively using. For instance, if you were using a tone detector, you would start getting tutorials on how to expand your knowledge for the tone detectors, or sort of like inside tips and tricks on what you can do for that. Similarly, if you were heavy on writing weekly content, but you ignored almost every other premium feature, then Grammarly would trigger to send you an email saying, hey, we know that you're an absolute rock star with this one thing. You're writing a lot of content. That's fantastic. But here's a suite of other features that can support what you're doing and help you expand your knowledge base on our platform. Does that sound good? What that does is it creates more touch points and it opens up the user's mind to what they're missing in the ecosystem so they can feel like they're getting, or they felt like, oh crap, I've been missing out on so much. I'm paying X amount of dollars per month. I'm missing out on all this value. That's on me, guys. Let me go ahead and jump back in so they feel like they're getting more than they should. Another one here is Singapore's Smart Nation initiative, which I've been following for a while now, and I think it's absolutely wild and worth noting. The entire government integrated AI into their national email systems and their communication systems, and that means that there have millions of citizens with vaccination notices, subsidy alerts, policy updates, local news, all powered by AI, and they're using testing and predictive timing to boost email deliverability by 21%, and engagement by 32% across the nation. So I mean, what this means is we have slow, bogged down government agencies, right? Like it's a bureaucracy. They're now using AI to increase touch points and increase engagement across their entire population in an industry which is like normally really stagnant. So if something like a behemoth, which is a government, can utilize AI to engage and activate their population, then there's absolutely no reason that a tech company who should be fast and innovative can go ahead and use these same methods to activate their leads or their existing customers. What we're seeing is Grammarly made nurturing intelligent, and Singapore made email delivery surgical. This means that you can make your funnel feel unstoppable if you incorporate some of these same strategies. So I know that building a scalable B2B SaaS funnel isn't really about complexity, it's about consistency. You need to know these four things. You know who you're selling to, you need to build trust over time, you need to prove value before asking for cash, and you need to automate what doesn't need your active brain. Remove all that extra space. You'll lose so much more time by having the code switch between cross-functional, departments or cross-functional workflows to try and check this box or that box when AI could have just done it for you, and you can stay strictly lasered in on the high-value strategic tasks that you know your business needs as a leader. If you're an AI or SaaS founder who wants a partner that will actually build with you, that is what Dippy does every single day. And if you're not ready to make that decision, feel free to click the link below. We have over 100 blogs and audio podcasts that will walk you through step by step how to actually build out these systems on your own without a vendor. As always, thank you. This is Morgan Von Druitt. Hope you have a good day.